falling away. Maybe I just need to feel nothing to make it easier to turn away and leave. Maybe we're fan and flame, so why do I keep holding out my hand to get burned? I don't wanna clash anymore. I can hear the ghosts in the walls. It's telling me to run away, yeah. I don't wanna crash anymore. I can hear the ghosts in the walls. It's telling me to run away.
Here in Monza, and it is a race opening victory for Eve. I'm still battling with Kuba.
You said you don't know me well, but I'm your angel and white. I'll be close if you come. I'll be just behind you. You're not on the list, but I can get you inside. Use your mind, listen to my voices and guide you. You give yourself over, yeah, you don't wanna fight. If you do, I'm gonna bid you a
But he's
hard
gone wide!
night.
Speedy's going
Hang on to your
incredible!
ticket, you're doing alright. And if you don't trust it, hold it up to the light. So quiet, try to hide it. If a new thought formed, we would swallow it down. Empty stares, never question the illusion. If you play alone, they will leave you to drown. Stand up, 'cause we are the movement. Don't stop, straight into the dark. Wake up, 'cause this is the moment. And every fire starts with a spark. A revolution. Stand up, 'cause we are the movement. Don't stop, straight into the dark. Wake up, 'cause this is the moment. And every fire starts with a spark. A revolution.
Feel like we're falling away. Maybe I just need to feel nothing to make it easier to turn away and leave. Maybe we're fan and flame, so why do I keep holding up?
Hello, and welcome back to FRLT Season 6. And today it is time for round number 5 of the season and the last race of assists for 2025. Yes, the final race for assists. let's have a look at the track map. We come to Melbourne, Australia tonight. 5.278 kilometers, 3.279 miles, 14 turns, 3 turns down the pit straight, second straight, and then it's just it's an interesting track. I think it's incredibly it's easy, but it's also difficult at the same time, because you see it's incredibly difficult, I'm absolutely losing my words here, but it's incredibly difficult and easy at the same time. Quite a lot of the corners are easy, but it's when you're having to do that for sort of 29 laps non-stop, including qualifying as well, and getting the perfect run, that's what makes this track so difficult. Not a lot of elevation, so there's not many problems like that, but sometimes it's just incredibly difficult. Looking at the calendars, you can see we have gone through the qualifiers at the start of November. We've done China, Austria, Imola, Great Britain last week, and this week we come to Australia for round number 5, the final race of assists in 2025. We're waiting almost a month. Yes, almost a month. We're waiting exactly 28 days, so 4 weeks before we see our next race in Singapore, then Monza, then Brazil, then the Netherlands. And then we'll be going to Las Vegas and Japan. So, a very interesting one there. I will say it is going to be quite interesting to see. Looking around, it's looking like an interesting one. Also, looking at the standings is actually an interesting thing to look at, because EVR continue to lead the Constructors' Championship. They extend their Constructors' Championship lead now up to 25 points in the lead of the championship. But it wasn't a great weekend last week. It was their worst race of the season. Still picking up 13 points in the end, but still only 13 points for them. Their worst weekend, which just proves how strong they've been in all the races so far this season. LR followed behind, continuing to hold on to second, just about. Only a P7 finish, so only 7 points coming in for them last week, dropping back even further, another 6 points lost to EVR. SET with a podium to their season, but again, one side of the garage struggling, so very much the sort of top 3 all having their second driver really struggle out there. And so there's been quite a bit of that, so it is a difficult one. Looking at AERT though, strong performance for them, pulls themselves past OMB, and they hold on to 4th. They close in, of course, on second, so that is a plus for them. I have got to add somebody though very quickly, because for some reason but yeah, we are into qualifying, by the way. I just almost forgot that. We are into qualifying. And there is one driver who's struggling to join, which is frustrating. But the first driver out on track is going to be Pascal Gill. He's the first driver who comes out onto the track for this evening in, of course, that Aston Martin. You can see the pit. They then exit keep quite close to the inside of the corner. You are allowed to go a bit wider into turn 1 than a few years ago, but even then, as you can see, it is going to be a tough night for many. It's going to be a long evening, because you see, qualifying is probably, I always say qualifying is important around this track, but it's not entirely crucial. You can overtake, especially down that back straight. It's quite easy to overtake. You can get I've seen drivers get past 3 cars down that straight in one go, so 3 overtakes in a single straight. So that just proves how, to some degree, it is quite easy to achieve, to get those overtakes done. Of course, in this year's game, I don't think we've come racing Australia on F1 25 in FRLT. We haven't done it yet. So it is a first for the team. I have to say, well, not just for the team, but for all of the teams, it's a first in FRLT to come to Australia. as we haven't come to it in a very long time. We haven't come to it since Season 4, by the way. So we did miss it out on Season 5's calendar for assists. But OMB chasing after 5th, 4th, and chasing after 2nd, actually, probably in the Constructors. Let's ride on board with Pascal Gill on his lap, as we saw an outlap from Sir with Face, who's serving a qualifying ban for this evening. Pascal Gill starting off his lap now, through into turn 1, through turn 2, very solid through the first 2 corners, very easy to get wrong, but Pascal Gill glides through there very easily. The Aston Martin looking stuck to the ground through turn 3. Again, nice turn in from Pascal Gill. It looks like he's in a lot of control. He's got huge amounts of control. He's looking like he's got huge amounts of control of that car. 26.068 for the first sector. I've got to say, that's actually a pretty decent first sector for first run. So, I can't lie, that's not too bad. Finally, I have received the request, and I do apologise, guys. I do apologise for this, but I need to invite this one driver because he's stuck out of the lobby. And so I need to help him out. Don't mind me, I will take a minute. No, he's not on. He's not on. Ethan. Why do I not see an Ethan on here? Oh, why is he not online? I do apologise, everybody, for this, but I'll have a look through it. I don't see him on the list. There he is. Now he's come on. Done. And the first time is from Pascal Gill, a 1 minute 15.167. God damn it. AERT Tom follows with a 1 minute 15.2. Then Jerry Weiss, who's actually quite far back, clips crossed the line. Tommy crossed the line as well. Just ALE crossed the line. He comes in a 15.5. Same as Jez McKelvey. Jen? I don't know. LK goes fastest of all. Just finds 4,000ths of a second to go on to provisional pole. Janus Mayboom finds even more time. A 1 minute 14.852. AZR going for the hat trick of pole positions. Are they going for 3 hat trick? Are they going for a hat trick? Last time we saw that was last season in... Last time we saw it was last season in No Assist with OMB, who took pole in all of the first 3 races. And again, I'm going to have to invite Ethan because, of course, this game's being fun today. Incredibly fun. Definitely buy F1, guys. Definitely. So, Janus Mayboom's teammate, Baptiste Van Koy, goes into P2 with 15.0. LK up there. Harvey as well put in a decent lap time. He's still P6 in the grid. So he found some time. Macti P8 and his teammate Matthijs Lavoie in P9. So Ace finding some time in there. They've got some decent chunks of time. We've got Alexander Esposito making his way round though now, as he makes his way through that first sector. 26.0, that's almost on pace. Also with Pascal Gill, just very slightly slower. So I've got to say, very strong first sector from Alexander Esposito. SET needing a strong weekend to pull themselves ahead of LR in the championship. They only need 5 points to pull themselves up into second in the championship. Of course, they finished 3rd last season in assists. OMB kind of being... OMB debuting, shall we say, in assists, even though they did no assists. They haven't raced in assists before, so OMB sitting down in 6th. They're looking for something as well this evening, currently only P5, P13, so double points, but it would only be just 11 points at the end of the evening for themselves. Alexander Esposito up to the line. Where is he going to go? He's going to go P3 and split the AZR drivers. I also just realised Reese Dye crossed the line in a 1 minute 14.7, finding another 56,000ths of a second, just over half a tenth more time over Janus Mayboom. And I've got to say, that is an extraordinary lap for himself. We've got Wheel Spin Voidless. We've got Voidless making his way round. Let's see what he can do. His teammate's gone P3. Can he match that for the first sector? Is he going to be a bit off? We've seen it in previous races. Teammate's been a bit off. It's going to be a 26.1, so he is actually just over a tenth behind already, which would drop him down to P4. As it would currently stand, he'd be P4 based off of that gap in the first sector. So let's see, Sector 2, how much more time does he drop? He drops a bit more time. He's down to about 2 tenths behind. So he is sitting at now about P6. So he's not gaining a lot of time. But I will say the SCT cars are looking incredibly fast on the straights. They look a lot quicker than most on straight line speed. So that is the first I think I've very much seen in Australia is teams maybe preferring more straight line speed over cornering. But Voidless coming up to the line, it looks like he's going to be behind his teammate. Not by much, only by just over a tenth of a second. So he does go P5 in the end, so he definitely recovered a bit of that time in the final sector. So he's definitely finding something good there. We just saw, so Joey Weiss is on a lap. He's improving by only a tenth of a second. LR had a poor race weekend last week. They're hoping to break the spell of a couple of poor weekends. Round 5, their last race of the year. Hoping to end it with a victory, of course. LR started the year in a tough place. And their mid-year in Season 4 as well was also in a very tough place for them. They've brought it back, though, over Season 5 and Season 6 of assists. They really brought it back. But across the line, Jerry Weiss goes up to P5 now. He just jumps ahead of Voidless by 2 thousandths of a second. So incredibly close there. Pascal Gill is currently on a lap as well. He's pushing hard. Let's see what he can do. I didn't see his first sector time, but let's see what his middle sector is. Is he improving? Is he losing time? He is improving by a tenth and a half, so he's finding a bit of time as well. So he might be going to that top 5, possibly even into the top 3. So onto that second row. Looking at the second row is what you really want to be doing around this track. Through this right hand, you can see very different line from what we saw from Voidless and Alexander Esposito. They went wider than everyone else. So I've got to say, you see those just little differences that could gain lots of lap time. Again, taking a tighter line into the final corner from Pascal Gill. And now going up to the line, where is he going to cross the line? He's going to finish P4. So he is on that second row. He just jumps in right in between, actually. Alexander Esposito and Baptiste Van Coy for position. I think his teammate is the next. Come across the line, and he's invalidated though, so it's disappointment for himself. It's a lot of disappointment for himself. Got Matthijs Lavoie, who's coming up to the line next. He's not going particularly quickly right now. We've got Simon behind. I think, is that the Ferrari of Tommy? It is. Who do we have next? It's Clips. He's invalidated his lap, but he's going again. That's Yanez Maybohm, who's going to be coming up to the line next. Can he improve? Can he steal away provisional pole? No, he can't. He doesn't, because he's just equaled his lap time once again. He literally has just equaled his lap time as Ethan goes P10 on the grid as ARC Tom finds another 55 thousandths of a second over Reese Dye to take provisional pole. AERT, AZR, and EVR all in this battle. Look at that! Baptiste Van Coy, 100th behind. He found the time in his lap when he needed to. He did what he needed to. Harvey crosses in P5. LK crosses in P4. We've now got 5 drivers all in the 1 minute 14s. Yes, 5 drivers all in the 1 minute 14s. We've actually got, incredibly, we've got another 3 who are right on the edge of a 1 minute 14 as well. Alexander Esposito, though, is looking like he's going to get into the 1 minute 14s because he's just improved by 92 thousandths in his first sector. So he's looking at possibly even a 14.8 as well. But you can see a bit of a gap at the moment, sort of top 8 away from the rest of the grid. Quite a big gap as it stands right now. 1.3 seconds split the grid. Just about 1.3 seconds split the grid from front to back. But let's see, will Alexander Esposito make that grow even further? I think Reese Dye is on another lap. He's going to be crossing the line. And now he finds a bit more time. He finds 58 thousandths of a second to go to provisional pole. So he finds the time he wanted to find, and that's exactly what he would have been looking for there. Alexander Esposito's across the line. He now goes P4 and also into a 1 minute 14.8. Look at this! 6 drivers. All in the 1 minute 14s. We've 6 drivers. Absolutely unbelievable. 30% of the grid inside of that 1 minute 14 lap time. Harvey slowly cruising back into the pits. Jerry Weiss is on a flying lap. I know that we've also got Wheel Spin Voidless, who's also on a lap. Matthias Lavoie, though, is coming in. Who else is actually on a lap? It is Tommy. Whoa, big slide from Tommy there. TMS currently one driver up inside the top 7 at the moment, inside that top 8. Very close, could even potentially push for a front row start, maybe even pole. So who knows what TMS can come up with here. But quite a few, the grid seems quite shaken up at the moment as it stands. They seem very different. SKG kind of sitting further back in the grid once again this week. They're sitting outside of the top 10 as Tommy only goes P17 with his lap. Wheel Spin Voidless goes P6, so he makes it a 7th driver to reach the lap times of the 1 minute 14s. We've got Jerry Weiss, who's improving very slightly in his middle sector. He's only improving by 38 thousandths, and a half spin for himself. Okay. Yeah, okay. Sorry, it's just caught me by surprise. I've not really seen that before from a driver, just reversing on track and going into the pit lane. That is a first. That is very much a first. I've never seen that. But anyway, it isn't allowed. You are correct, Ads. It's not allowed. You can't do that. You can't, because that's cutting across the pit lane entry, and it is against the rules, and so there might be a race penalty, or most likely a qualifying ban. Because I can't remember what the penalty is specifically for that, so I will have to read and have a check. But the only driver out on track currently is Tommy, who's slowly making his way in. At the moment, Reese Dye is on provisional pole, not by much, only by 0.003 of a second currently. First to 7th, split by just over 1/10 of a second. So it's incredibly close here in Australia. I can see a lot of teams have pushed very hard for this race. Who's coming out of the pits? It is Simon Equestre who's coming out of the pits. But yeah, I think, I've seen, definitely, it's clear to see that a lot of teams have pushed a lot into this final race. It's the final assists race of 2025. And it's the 5th race of the season. So this is when things start to really get serious. Each race really can damage your season. We saw it with LR last race. A poor race has damaged their season. They're 25 points behind EVR. So if they don't gain points this race, they might even be saying goodbye to their championship. But, EVR starts 1st and 20th as it stands. So they start 1st and last. So biggest gap you can actually have on the grid between teammates. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. LR aren't in the best of place. Still decent points. 4 points for 10th and 10 points for 5th. So still 14 points. But it's not as much as SET, who currently would overtake them in the Constructors. AZR would close up further. AERT would also close up further. So the championship would very much start to go against LR this season, just like it did in Season 3. It's looking like already out of round 5, it's starting to go against them a bit. But let's ride on board with Simon Equestre on his lap. Finally, we'll do a full on board. Simon Equestre making his way around through turn 1, turn 2. Again, like I said, that Aston Martin seems very smooth. No real problems in this first sector. You could see just the car just turning in. Would have been nice, a little bit tighter. Definitely a little bit of understeer in the car through this first sector. But what it's doing is it's making the car very easy to drive. Although slightly slower, but still almost 0.2 found from Simon Equestre in that first sector. So he's finding huge amounts of time on his lap, but he's going to have a problem because he's going to have traffic towards the end of his lap because he's speeding at over 200 miles per hour versus others possibly trundling along at 30 or 40 miles an hour. Still up by a tenth and a half out of the middle sector, so he will be finding a bit more time. He will go up to only about P16. That's where he's looking at. It's about P16 in this race. So OMB also taking a bit of a step back this race in qualifying performance. He is going to have a Red Bull in the way, but the Red Bull stays out of the way very nicely there. And there's Simon Equestria's teammate, and heading up to the line now, opening that rear wing as you head down the pit straight. Crossing line, it's going to be P12 for Simon Equestria. We've then got, who else is crossing the line next? Jerry Weiss crosses the line. He crosses in P8, and that's going to be his final run of the evening. Now we've got Tommy crossing the line next. Then we're going to be having Clips, who's also improving on his lap. He only jumps to P18. Then his teammate crossed the line. He didn't make it for his lap. Disappointment, he didn't make it. Matt T jumps to P13, and a lap that he needed very much. Just ALE coming up to the line next. Where is he going to go? He goes P12. Then we've got Rhythms, who finishes P16. He can't find the lap time. Baptiste Van Koy goes on to provisional pole. 1 minute 14.6. That's the time to beat. Yaz Maybohm didn't cross. He crossed the line in P2. Front row for AZR. Reese Dye can't beat him when he crosses the line. And Ethan goes P11. It was all coming down to these final couple of drivers. Voidless coming up the line next. He's going to cross the line. He goes P2. Onto the front row. Oh my god, what is going on this evening? Pascal Gill crosses the line but doesn't improve on his lap. And that's him done. There's Matisse Lavoie, who finished his ultimate in P11. Alexander Esposito is P6. LK is invalidated. I think there's still a few others on laps. I'm not sure who's next to cross the line. That was Tommy who's crossed the line in the end. I think the only driver on a lap is Jerry Weiss. He's on a lap. Ultimately, I think he's gotten a little bit blocked there. No, he hasn't. He hasn't got enough fuel, and that is that. That's that to qualifying. Baptiste Van Koy is on pole position for this evening. AZR take their third pole of the season and their third pole in a row, if I am correct. 3 poles now for AZR this season. But it was almost a front row lockout, but just split by an SET driver. But I've got to say, AZR making absolute waves here tonight. Very, very strong from AZR. So let's go through the order. It's an AZR pole with Baptiste Van Koy in that number 1 spot. Then Voidless in second, Yaz Maybohm in third, Reese Dye in fourth, ART Thomas 5th with Alexander Esposito in 6th, LK 7th, Jerry Weiss in 8th, Harvey 9th, Pascal Gill 10th, Matisse Lavoie in 11th, then Ethan in 12th, Just ALE in 13th, Simon Equestria in 14th, Mac T in 15th, Tommy 16th, Art in 17th, Jens in 18th, Clips in 19th, and serving that qualifying ban is, of course, Sir with Face. My favourite name. Always going to be my favourite name. Somebody has been kicked from the lobby, which is just fun. Somebody's been kicked from the lobby. It's always just fun. For the race, of course, I do apologise for having to pull this up on the screen. Should be sent now. It is Art who's missing. Now, yeah. So, Rhythms. Going to be going tonight. But I've got to say, AZR, their qualifying performances in the last 3 races, including this race, has been unbelievable. Their opening, 2 races were quite weak. They weren't really getting anything out of their season. No points in the first 2 races. And now they're making a title charge. 5th in the Constructors. At this rate, they'll actually move up into 2nd tonight. Out of round number 5. So over the Christmas break, AZR will be chasing the championship going into round 6. So it's a very interesting championship going on. We've got about 3 minutes before anybody's going to ready up. So we've got a bit of time. Strategy-wise, I'm not sure how it's going to go. If I'm being honest. I'm not sure how it's going to go strategy-wise. I have a lot of faith in, EVR. I have a lot of faith in EVR. They've made a lot of very strong strategy choices this season. So I will say they've got a good chance at it. Hence why they lead the championship by 25 points. I think OMB as well have made some really good strategy calls this season. I think AZR we've seen in the last 2 races as well. They've been really solid on strategy. We've seen a lot of teams be quite strong. I think LR have fallen a bit flat in recent races on strategy. I think that I would also argue that's the same for SKG. They're also falling quite flat on pace and strategy, especially SKG this evening. Defending champions don't really look like defending champions this season. They're 50 points away from the championship leaders after just the first 4 races of the season, and it looks like it's going to grow even further as EVR are looking, of course, to get to over 100 points, while SKG look like they're going to reach maybe 40 this evening. At best, so 40 points, to be that far behind kind of rules them out of the championship with the final 6 races to go. So there's a chance, but I think we've seen brilliant comebacks. We saw in season 3 XR8 they raced from round 5 to round 10, 6 races, and they moved up into 2nd in the Constructors Championship and gave a fight till I think round 9. So they were really in it for a long time, but then they didn't win, of course. But this season, LR's gone from being challenging sort of for the lead of every race to all of a sudden, these last sort of 1 or 2 races, especially the last race, kind of they've fallen away a bit. They're not battling for the win anymore. They're not there. Their qualifying has been off. Good, decent qualifying tonight, 7th and 8th. You can't really deny a decent qualifying from them, but they're now starting to move more to a mid-pack team than a front runner, and we're starting to see teams like AZR now come out as quickest or 2nd quickest, and we're seeing EVR continuing, AZR going up, AERT going up, SET going up, and LR's kind of now sitting at this kind of 6th quickest team, 5th or 6th, because they're sitting at this about 5th, 6th quickest team roughly now. Last week and this week, it's clear to see that their pace has dropped off a bit from sort of 2nd quickest in the opening 3 races to now this race and last race, now kind of sitting at about 5th quickest overall, 5th or 6th quickest. So there's definitely a drop off coming from LR. I say the same also for TMS. They performed okay last week, one of their stronger finishes, but just sort of on the edge of points like SKG this season, kind of just start of the season was the best for SKG, and then it's just kind of fallen away for them. So I think LR and SKG kind of sit in the same area of just kind of falling off quite heavily after. And we are going, it is 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And away we go here in Australia for round number 5 of FRLT Season 6 Assists. And there's a good getaway from the pole sitter Baptiste Van Koy. Into turn 1 they go. AZR battling further back. And that is, somebody's gone round. Somebody's gone down, actually. I think that's, it's Voidless who's gone down. But he's battling with Restart over P3. Restart ultimately drops back into P4, but it's been a good start for a couple of drivers. We can see further back LK and Jerry Weiss making their way past AERT Tom for position. So a good start from both LR drivers as they try to hold on to their 2nd in the championship going into the winter break. You can see further back Tom still battling with Ethan. He's having a really poor start here on those hard tyres. He's dropping back already. His teammate, of course, all the way back down in 19th. So at the moment, pace doesn't seem to be on AERT's side. And down to P8 goes Tom, and that's another place lost off of this race start. Look at this. We've actually got a bit of battling further back. OMB swap places. Pascal Gil gets past his teammate Simona Questre. Now, we see further back again. Look at this. Sir with Face makes his way up to 16th. And I think he knows how important it is for EVR this evening to make up the places in the championship, to push for these positions. And a mistake from Jens again allows now Matti to move up into 17th, as So with Face pushes for the lower points positions, as he's trying to make his move now up to 15th in tonight's race. So it's proving to be a very interesting evening going on everywhere at the moment. Matti has disconnected from the session. But it is, and actually, before I move, but it is actually going to be Sir with Face battling with Tommy for position. You can see Sir with Face has a lot more pace than I expected, and already up into 15th on lap 2. And it's a brilliant start from the EVR driver. But AZR 1-2 in this race, pushing for another brilliant performance and another win. Another win to their season. I think this will be their second win this season, second or third win of the season. So I've got to say they are really pushing out as the fastest team on the grid. And yeah, Mayburn almost collides with his teammate as I spoke. He almost collided with Baptiste just down that straight. Got a little bit close, a little bit of wobbling from Jannes Mayboom. So very close to causing a massive problem for AZR out on track. AZR feeling this is their chance to push currently on for all of the 36 points this evening. Yes, 36 points for them would move them up very far in the championship, would move them up to 84 points after this evening. They wouldn't take the lead of the championship, even if EVR didn't score any points. They wouldn't take the lead of the championship. They would be second, but at the moment they will be chasing close behind. They will be closing in a lot, just 13 points behind EVR as it stands, so it's looking very close. 3 wins for Jannes Mayboom. Gonna be very interesting to see if he does win tonight. But he has got his teammate, and he has got quite a few other drivers who I don't think really want to see that happen, as there goes Pascal Gil on Harvey for position. OMB really struggling to get much traction this evening, only on for 6 points this evening, and their worst finish of the season. They're looking like they're just really off the pace. It just doesn't look like they've really got it with them this evening. And that's worrying. OMB, 6th in the championship, and they're not with it. Ethan's made up a lot of places for SKG, though. He's on for 7 points, so maybe SKG getting a little bit back into the championship just a little bit more. 7 points. It's not a big amount. It's more than we're seeing what OMB are going to score as it stands, but I still say that I think SKG are out of the championship fight. I will just say that still, here and now, out of round 5. I think this was very much the last race for SKG to prove that they could be defending champions into Season 6. We've never really seen a team lose a championship after one go. FG did, but they didn't race in the next season. They didn't race in Season 2. AMS won Season 2, 3, and 4 of Assist, and now we've got SKG. They won Season 5 of Assists, but they're on their way to be far away from winning Season 6. So if they don't, I think if they don't close in on, the top, on second, I'd say, if they don't close in on second place, they're out of the championship fight. Mathematically, they can still do it. 36 points per race over 6 races. They can still mathematically do it. They're only 50 points behind, so 36 times 6 more races, that's 216 points if they do it perfectly. But again, that's if you do it perfectly. If they didn't get fastest lap or pole, which they don't look like they will, that's another 12 points gone for them. But here comes Tom, who's looking for a move, of course, on those slightly different tyre compound. We'll have a look at the tyres now. Medium tyres for everybody inside the top 7, most of the grid going for it, and then just the hard tyre runners, Tom, Pascal Gil, Tommy, Rhythms, and Macti are all on the hard tyres. Nobody else, but a good start from Ethan, up 5 places, but again, there's a couple of harder runners in front of him. But like I said, most likely, as it stands, if out of the first 4 races of the season they score 36 points, times that by 2, that's 72 points after 8 races. And that's 2 races, but that's 4 races, 8 points. And here comes, whoa, getting a little bit close for comfort there, getting a little bit too close for comfort. Whoa, and on the grass goes Tom. He feels like it was needed, and up into P7 he goes, and that's a position gained, and it's exactly what he needed in this race. But as I was saying, at this rate, SKG just aren't looking at the championship at all. 36 points in 4 races. That's not enough, that's 72 points. 36 points is all you can score in one race weekend, and we're about to see AZR achieve that and get 36 points in a single race. They got, think about it, they got, 29 points, I think, last week? I think they got 29 or 30 points last week, so that's almost SKG's entire campaign. That's what really makes me sad, is that SKG have gone from being easily number 1 for the opening 8 races of Season 5 in assists. They were easily number 1, and then it started to teeter towards AERT and EVR. It started to teeter a bit over in average pace. Kind of moved over to EVR being quickest for the final few races, sort of the final 3-4 races of the season, with, AERT and SET occasionally being quicker. But, I did count on 8 occasions during that season SKG were the quickest team on average pace and position. So they were very strong, but this season they've averaged far lower. They've averaged way off. They've not even averaged as 7th, by the way. They've actually averaged as 8th in pace. So they're not even 7th, they're actually 8th. With, of course, all of the constructors in front of them actually averaging higher pace on average this season. But then also, I just want to point out also the strange one here is actually UFRT, who've also averaged higher in performance on average this season. Just as an average across the entire season, which is actually quite a strange stat to look at, as Matthijs Lavoie gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Penalties starting to creep in to tonight's race. But yeah, an interesting and strange season for SKG, I will say. It's I think it's a frustrating season for the defending champions, not being really they're not really defending. They're just kind of taking every hit, as Tommy now gets a 3-second time penalty in this race. You can see Reese Dye is eyeing up a position for P4 in this race. I think we also saw Sir with Face also get up to P14, by the way, so he also made up a place past Matthijs Lavoie. So that was very good for him as he pushes now for the points. He's on the edge of those points positions, but there's then a big 3-second gap between Simon Equestre and Pascal Gill. Between P10 and P11, OMB drivers maybe backing each other up slightly, helping when it comes down to the pit stop phase. But So with Face should be able to easily slice through these drivers in the coming laps. But yeah, I think it's been a good race from LR though, proving that they're back on pace a bit more. 18 points for this evening. That's what they're looking at as it stands. So 18 points for this evening and a strong finish for them. Wouldn't save them in championship. They'd still lose 2nd, but they would hold on to 3rd. That's the main thing for them, is they're going to hold on to 3rd in the Constructors' Championship currently. So as long as they don't drop any places, they should be fine. Tom is starting to creep up onto the back of them, so maybe AERT having a bit of a different idea of what we're going to see this evening. Maybe they're having a bit of a different idea. Wanting to close in on 2nd in the championship, or at least 3rd. AERT also, I think SKG and AERT have had very similar campaigns in that neither of them have been incredibly strong. I think of course AERT I think have been better. No doubt AERT have been better. As So with Face now makes a move past Harvey. He did get a 3-second time penalty though, so that is going to harm him at the end of the race. But now we've got 4 drivers who all have penalties in this race, so it's starting to add up a bit more, the penalties in tonight's race. That's not helping. I think we just saw Ferrari really struggling. That was Harvey who was really struggling with his car. Tice Lavoy trying to make the move, but whoa, sent off line again, and it goes wide out of turn 1 and turn 2. Down to 16th now. TMS also having a very rough day for them, on for no points again this race. If Harvey stays within 3 seconds or so with face, he will of course finish 13th, but as it stands, most likely he's not going to. He's dropping about 2 to 3 tenths per sector, so I don't think he is going to be keeping up, and he's outside of that second range already, so things aren't going up for TMS this evening. They're just really struggling with performance. Tom, though, makes the move on Jerry Weiss for position. Those hard tyres now starting to come alive in this race, already on lap 9 out of 29, by the way. Still 20 more laps of this race to go. But I've got to say, it's interesting to see that it's still 20 more laps to go, but still there's things happening in the grid. It's the small moves, it's the small changes for position that is really going on as we reach double digits in laps. Simon Equestre, though, is going to be the first driver to enter the pits, along, though, with Harvey. So both drivers actually come to the pits for the hard tyres, going in for a quick stop. So does MacT. He's also in, going on to the hard tyres. So we've got a couple of hard tyre changes, but MacT's actually gone to another set of mediums. So is he thinking of a 2-stop race here? The mediums last 10 laps at a time. Is he thinking he's going to go medium, medium, soft? Is that the idea at Ace for MacT? Who knows? Maybe something a little bit different to close him back up to the grid. We'll have to wait and see. But AZR, by the way, commanding this race again. Jannes Mayboom, 2 wins already in 2 races. He's on his way to make it a 3rd win in 3. Hat-trick of victories. Becomes the first driver since AMS Soy. I just want to point that out. We had 3 poles from OMB last season. We've had 3 poles from AZR this season. Now, Jannes Mayboom feels like it's time, and he goes into the pits. Maybe trying to get the undercut, but a lot of other drivers also on their way in. And Restart! He gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Massive mistake for EVR. It is a race and possibly championship-changing mistake. 10-second time penalty for the EVR driver. Ah, no. That just now, it's just all so damaging. Championship-wise, it's so damaging. I think Ethan's also gotten ahead of Jerry Weiss, by the way. So it's been actually a decent pit stop from Ethan Quigley to get up into P14. So Jerry Weiss down another place. I think that'd be down to P8 now in tonight's race. So it's another place lost. Baptiste Van Koy, though, making his way around. It now looks like it could be a straight finish for AZR in tonight's race. It looks like it really could be. A very straight and easy finish. Tom now makes his way up to P2, though. So those hard tyres really coming alive now here, sort of midway, kind of reaching that midway point of the race. Jannes Mayboom now makes the move on Jens for P10. A solid move for himself in tonight's race. Baptiste Van Koy now goes into the pits, followed by LK. Tom continues into the race and leads the first lap, led by anybody else other than AZR. Onto the hard tyre goes the Sauber. Where does he come out? How much time has he lost to everyone else? Where is he coming out? Is he going to come out behind or ahead of the Mercedes? Side by side. Oh! And that's Reese. He's round. Spun round by Baptiste Van Koy. EVR's weekend is just being shredded. Their championship lead is getting just pulled apart. A penalty. A qualifying ban for Sir with face. A penalty for Reese. A penalty for Sir with face. And now being spun round. Clips overtakes Sir with face as well for position. But oh my god. EVR going through the mud. Absolutely getting just pulled through the mud tonight. unbelievable to see from AZR. I'm questioning slightly that move. I'm not sure who's in the wrong. I do think we'll be seeing an AZR report. I think everybody knows we're going to be seeing AZR, not AZR, but EVR, sorry, reporting AZR. Was it a risky move from Baptiste Van Koy? Was he just being too aggressive, trying to get ahead and stay in front? To me, it did look a bit aggressive into turn one, I will say. I do think he to some degree he did lead into the corner. But you've also got to remember, when you're coming from the pits, you're also entering into traffic. So there needs to be kind of, I think the drivers need to take that into account a little bit, that they are entering into traffic on the racing line. So, to some degree, Baptiste might be safe from a penalty, but we'll have to see, because I really want to see from what EVR's point of view and the AZR POV is, really. I want to see the POV of both teams, because from that view, AZR and Baptiste Van Koy look very much in the wrong for that turn one maneuver. I'm just saying, from the spectator view, it looked incredibly bad and a very poor decision. So, you know, it just looked too aggressive, trying to defend too much. So, possibly, who knows. And 3 wide, by the way, into turn one, but a double overtake for Baptiste Van Koy. So a nice move there for himself. But yeah, I think that's going to definitely be a conversation, and definitely a report to look at for myself. To some degree, I do agree with you, Daniel. There, you know, yes, he was ahead, but the big question is that, did Baptiste do everything he could to make the corner? That's my thing, because he knew that the Mercedes was coming out very close. He knew that Reese was coming out very close, as Rhythms gets a 3-second time penalty. Yeah, I think to some degree, Baptiste should have, would have seen, should have known that the EVR driver of Reese was right there and could make an overtake and was going to go around the outside. So the main question here will be, did Baptiste do his best to make the corner as tight as possible, or did he try to sort of stop Reese from overtaking by taking a wider line and not giving space? That's the question. And, that will come down to the onboard POVs of both drivers. I will say I will say, though, that again, from the POV of myself, Baptiste looked a bit in the wrong there. He looked like he was a bit in the wrong. So, that's from just the moment that I saw the 3-4 seconds it took from the start of the move. From the start of the move to the end. So I might be wrong, but from what I saw there, it looks a bit on more Baptiste's fault than Reese's fault. But again, it will all come down to reports and evidence and things like that, as it's incredibly difficult to say from looking from off board just once. It's incredibly difficult to say. As Ethan Quigley battling with Tommy over position, he's up to P7. So he's making his way through the grid now. Harvey gets a 3-second time penalty, and there goes a double move for Ethan. So SKG having a bit of a better weekend now. Seems after the pit stops it's changed around. It's actually LR who's dropped back quite a bit. 8th and 9th now. We're up to 7th and 8th. After they get past Rhythms for position. The team that's having a horrific evening is actually OMB still 10th and 2nd and 10th, but still Pascal Gill needs to stop in this race. Pascal Gill, of course, on those hard tyres. My question is, when do the hard tyre runners come in to stop? Because we know the mediums only last about 10 laps. So are we going to be waiting a few more laps for them to go in? No. Tom decides to go in now. Does Pascal Gill decide to? Yes, he does. Both come into the pits, which means Yannis Mayboom now leads away onto lap number 17. And once again, AZR take the lead again of the race. We saw in Silverstone, I think it was only 3 teams led the entire race. AZR led over I think it was over 90% of the race, or about 80% of the race. So AZR were very dominant. From what I believe, I think AZR have actually now led the most laps out of any team this season. So they're racking up a couple of things. I think there's only... I'm trying to think. How many teams have gotten a hat-trick of victories? Trying to think. How many teams have gotten a hat-trick? I know AMS did. They did it in Season 2. Between round 4, 5 and 6. They also did it in Season 3. From round 6, 7 and 8. I believe. Yeah, Season 3. Round 6, 7 and 8. And then they did it in Season 4 as well. In round... Did they? Did they not? I know they won rounds 4 and 5. And then they won 7 and 8. And then I think they won round 10. And that was it. So no hat-trick then. So AMS do have 2 hat-tricks to their name. So AZ are about to get their first hat-trick of victories. FGE didn't... I'm trying to think of what... Is there any teams that actually did get a hat-trick of wins? I know SKG, I don't think they did last season. As now Tom gets past his teammate for P10. He's of course on the fresh mediums till the end of the race, so he's pushing now. He will get up to P8 with Reese's penalty. So EVR's day looks pretty painful. Daniel, I'm going to tell you this one time. Shut up. As Tom makes his way past Alexander Esposito for position. And it's a great move from himself on those fresh mediums. Maybe the alternative strategy working out. Of course, Pascal Gill also on that alternative strategy, but he's a long way back. He's 4 places back from Tom. So maybe Tom's found himself in a perfect little sort of pocket of space and time. So who knows? Who knows? But making his way through still. This race has been interesting because I think it's shown the level of drivers at the moment. Reese Dye is making his move on Simon Equestre for position. Of course, Reese Dye with that penalty. Yellow flag somewhere further back. That was for an ace driver. That would have been Matisse Lavoie. Ten laps of this race to go. 10 more laps of tonight's race. Tom now gets past Simon Equestre for position as well. Is he going to get 2 drivers in one? No, he's not. He's going to be sitting behind Reese Dye for position. So, whoa! What a massive slide for Reese Dye. But Tom gains 1 place and loses 1 because of having to dodge that massive slide from the EVR driver. The EVR coming across their first problem of the season. Reminding me a little bit of, it's very much reminding me of ABE, because in both Season 2 and 3, their first bad race came in Season 5, came in Round 5, sorry, in Season 2 and 3, it came in round 5, their first bad race, and season 1. In all of those races, their first poor on-track performance was in round 5. So, has EVR also acquired the curse? We also saw that from EVR actually last season in round 5. In season 4, we saw it. Their round 5 was pretty poor as well in season 4. In Monza, Brazil it was. They also had a pretty big struggle against championship rivals. Matisse Lavoie now retires on track. Is this going to cause a safety car though? Is it going to cause a safety car? Whoa! When there's a big car drive around, that's Reese! He's round! He's in the wall! Hey, is he in the wall? I swear he just touched the wall. He must have touched the wall, tangling with Simon Equestre. He must have touched the wall. Oh my god. EVR's day goes from bad to worse. Today's just horrific for them. And whoa! Alexander Esposito not being given the biggest welcome from Simon Equestre for position. Here comes Pascal Gill as well. Oh, Pascal Gill's gone too deep! Oh my god, driver mistakes coming from absolutely everywhere right now. Almost every single driver is suffering from driver errors this race. OMB struggling for points. EVR in the same place struggling for points. AZR set to take a 1-2 finish and maximum points from this week. LR on the return in the championship. Look at this. More intense racing. Side by side, Simon Equestre battling to hold on to P8. He's really fighting. Here comes... Oh! It hit the wall! Simon Equestre puts the man of Alexander Esposito in the wall! What is going on? And there goes Tom on Jerry Weiss for P6 in this race as well. And that's a nice move made. I've got to say, a very nice move made by Tom, pressuring the LR driver of Jerry Weiss. Pascal Gill gets past his teammate with ease. Oh my god, putting a driver in the wall. What is going on? What am I seeing? Oh my god. I have no words for what we're seeing this evening. A couple of moments of absolute insanity coming from some of the drivers. We see Simon Equestre for the second time this evening, in the space of sort of 2 laps, being involved in an incident of swiping. It looked, the previous incident, I didn't notice it at first because I was looking at stats, but looking back at it, because I've just brought it up, looked like a bit of swiping from Simon Equestre, and it looks like it's swiping again with Alexander Esposito. So there could be a disqualification coming to Simon Equestre for that. I will say I wouldn't be surprised. And in all honesty, from that fight with Alexander Esposito, that was a clear swipe. And I'm going to be honest, that deserves disqualification. Because I don't want to be seeing any of this racing here in FRLT. That type of racing is not... It's not what we want to see, and it's not what's going to be allowed. Swiping is a no-go. It is a disqualification type of thing, depending on how bad it was. And that was some really bad swiping from Simon Equestre. This time, no swiping from the OMB driver as clips went past him. So I'm not sure whether he just did that to allow Pascal Gill to get past with ease. I'm really questioning now the integrity of kind of this, to some degree, this race. Is so with Face, by the way. Makes a move past Alexander Esposito for position. Of course, he's got those 3 seconds of penalties. He'll maybe be hoping to get those removed. But now, So With Face has got to come across a very difficult driver to overtake from this race. Simon Equestre for position. He's got to overtake him for P10. Yeah, this is an interesting one. I will say this is proving to be a very interesting race this evening. Heading down towards turn 1 we go. Any move coming in for himself. Simon Equestre gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings anyway, so it is now full-on race on for So With Face. He can gain a position now, so he can finish at best P11 in this race with penalties, as Alexander Esposito doesn't have any. So With Face can now finish P11. So there is a chance there for himself to do that. So it could be a really good chance for him to be able to make a move and move up into points positions, as we also see Tom make his way up into P5 in this race on those medium tyres. 5 laps to go, coming up to those final 5 laps of the race, and he's now up to P5 on lap 24. So there's definitely something in it. Definitely Tom looking very strong. Can he catch P4? I think he will catch LK by the end of the race. He's catching him by a lot at the moment, but of course medium tyre wear isn't going to help him. But his tyre wear seemed very good on the hard tyres, so maybe AERT going for that tyre saving a bit more. Who knows? I think Tom could, at this rate, will catch LK by the end of the race, and possibly even make that move for P4. So With Face though, in this battle, he's still chasing after Simon Equestre position, unable to make the move as of yet. He's just waiting for that time. Simon Equestre making a couple of mistakes on track, and you can see just every so often a bit of a mistake with braking seems to lose Simon Equestre a huge amount of time. He's now dropped over a second to Clips in P9. So UFRT on for another decent points finish, another 5 points this evening. But riding aboard, here comes So With Face. He's going to be going for the move on Simon Equestre as he goes up to P10, and a move past 4 position. And there goes So With Face up into 10th place in tonight's race. As he now pushes on, he's now going to be able to really push on in this race and hopefully show his full possible pace. Here comes Alexander Esposito on Simon Equestre, the man who got knocked off the track by the OMB driver, but he makes that move smoothly, and in the end he's able to get up to P11 without any real problem. Simon Equestre really struggling for grip right now, as he's just dropping further and further back, maybe getting damage from his incident with Alexander Esposito. So that's proving to be a bit of an interesting one this evening. I will say it's definitely been an interesting one. While Simon Equestre's teammate Pascal Gill also made his way up to P7, but it's not been as nice of a run for Pascal Gill compared to Tom, because as you can see, Pascal Gill is absolutely miles away from Tom. He's a few seconds behind us now. Ethan makes his way up to P5, so really the medium tyre is starting to kind of slow down for AERT Tom. So P5 looks like it could very much be the best that he can achieve in tonight's race, unless Ethan could do something about it and hold on to that P5. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see for that. But final 5 laps, that's just reducing lap by lap. But I will say, Voidless keeping up on pace, but he's not catching us. Harvey's out! Harvey's out! And it's a slow car, and Harvey is out. Is there going to be a late race safety car? Is it going to be a late race safety car? No, it's not. No, it's not. 3 laps to go in tonight's race. No safety car. I think this is actually... it's been a very strange season with very little safety cars from the drivers. The last time we actually had a safety car was round 2. So this is set to be the 3rd race in a row without a safety car. And every time we've raced at Australia, by the way, we have had 1 safety car. Rhythms now retires as well. Are they trying to cause a late race safety car? I think drivers are trying to cause a late race safety car as Reese Dye takes the fastest lap of the race, just to make AZR lose an extra point in their championship chances, just to hurt AZR just very slightly with an extra point gone. But can Voidless not just make that an extra point? Can he make that an extra 2 to damage them? And he's getting very close. He's definitely been saving these hard tyres a bit more than Batiste, because Batiste's still sitting at that almost 2 seconds behind his teammate. Janus Maybaum just kind of dominantly leading this race for basically the entirety of whenever he could, including for that short period when Tom was leading the race, of course, and then it moved over to, I believe it was just Tom who was leading the race. Nobody else led the race. So it's very much just been AZR and AERT this evening. So very much non-championship favourites just leading tonight's race. Will be a first. But yeah, still waiting. We're about to go on to the final lap of tonight's race. We can see Reese has come in for another stop. Another set of softs. He feels another set is what he needs. We can see Ethan's made his move back past Tom, but that's also allowed Pascal Gill to close up within a second. The big question now... The big question now is going to be who is... It's not even going to be who's going to win, because as you can see, Janus Maybaum leading pretty dominantly. I think unless he makes a big mistake in this final lap, he's going to finish this race by winning, just by leading it dominantly. He's led almost every single lap. I think he's not led for 5 or 6 laps this entire race, so he's led over 20 laps of tonight's race. Another incredibly dominant finish. Same as last week. I think he only missed, another 4 or 5 laps last week's race. So kind of getting to over 40 laps led in 2 races is insane from a driver. Still leading. As you see, Reese Dye makes his, gets out of the way. He's not going to be chasing another fastest lap of in this evening. Now, heading round, 2 corners left for Janus Maybaum. Only 2 corners to go. And coming up to the line, Janus Maybaum is going to cross the line to win in Australia and making a hat-trick of victories for AZR. And that is a brilliant victory, and it is a 1-2 finish. Voidless finishes in 3rd, LK 4th, then it's going to be Ethan in 5th, just staying ahead of Tom in 6th. Pascal Gill finishes closely, then Jerry Weiss, then Clips, then it's Alexander Esposito with Face finishing in a solid P11, and it's all he could get, but it's all he could do, but it's still 9 places gained by the end of tonight's race, so it's still very, very good race. This evening, Simon Equestre finishes in 12th ahead of Tommy. Then it's Jens. Then it's just ALE. We know Reese Dye and Mac T have already crossed the line for 16th and 17th. So it is just ALE to cross the line next as he crosses the line to finish P15. And that is that for this evening. Oh, what a race that was. I have got to say. What a race that was. It might have not been the most exciting. Don't get me wrong, it might have not been the most exciting. But it was definitely the most interesting out there. I will say it was a very interesting race. A big change in championship-wise. Championship-wise, it's just a completely insane change between last race to this race. Massive change again. AZR pushing even further into their championship chances, making it even a greater chance of winning the championship, continuing this winning streak. Will they make it 4 wins next race in Singapore? I've almost said next week, but next race, will they do it? maybe, maybe not. But looking at the grid order, it is P1, P2 from AZR, followed by Voidlist in P3. Then it's LK, Ethan, Tom, Pascal Gill, Jerry Weiss, Clips, Alexander Esposito, Sir with Face, Simon Equestre, Tommy, Jens, Just ALE, Reese, Maxi, and the retirements being Rhythms, Harvey, and Matthijs Lavoy. And that is that. And it is time for some lovely, lovely interviews this evening. If we can get some. If anybody would be so kind to have some lovely interviews for this evening. Yeah, very, very interesting from everybody, I've got to say. Very interesting evening, nonetheless, from many. Of course, it's quite strange this evening because only two interviews because of that 1-2 finish from AZR. But we've already got two people in, so let's bring them in.
Yeah.
Hello there, welcome to the interview box. It's two of you tonight, which is a new one. I don't think we've really had that often. I think the last time we did that was when AMS won the championship in season 4. But I'm expecting you're very happy with, of course, the 1-2 finish tonight for your team. How does it, sort of just describe to me how it feels?
Are you asking which one?
Either one of you, like.
I think in terms of as of late, I think our caliber as driver has improved significantly. I think within the past couple months, I think big results like this kind of come as more of a standard in terms I think compared to a couple months ago, I think results like this would be highly unlikely. But as we've kind of pushed on as a team, results like this have just kind of come more of a standard, not really a surprise anymore, which is obviously really good to see.
When it comes down to sort of, championship wise, you guys are, from my calculations, second in the championship after tonight's race. You're on 83 points. And with EVR only scoring, of course, 3 points this evening, only brings them up to 89. So you're only 6 points behind in the Constructors' Championship. Do you feel like, with this sort of breather, with this Christmas break that you've got coming up, do you feel like going into 2026, do you feel like there's a sort of a good chance to take the lead into, of course, Singapore, which is, I know, 4 weeks away, but do you feel like that's sort of what you're aiming for? Either one of you can answer.
I mean, Janus told us that he could drive basically every race this season, so I think it's looking good for us in the championship fight. We were far back from the start as we got like 0 points in the first 2 races, but now Janus is driving and we're getting back to back P1, and I think it will look really good from here. This was a crucial race to catch up to EVR, and I think that's what happened at the end, as they had pretty unlucky race. So it was good for us, but let's see what the season brings us.
I agree.
I have one question. As this is the final race of assists, this year in 2025, how do you guys feel sort of about how you've kind of gone from all the way back in? Let me think. Round 4
GL days
of season 3, which would have actually been 2024. If I'm not, I'm trying to think of what race was the first race of this year. I can't remember. But how do you guys feel sort of about how kind of your seasons have changed over, of course, the course of sort of 3 almost 4 seasons?
Well, as I said earlier, this team was made, I think, it was made just over a year ago, and FRLT was one of our first ever competitions. So it's nice to, not only see us grow, but also the competition grow. And I think in terms of, like I said earlier, our caliber of driver, as we've qualified for all these, big leagues, as we've made all these big earnings, as we've, made connections within the community, we're just able to sign all these really good drivers, and obviously it's proving it on the track as of late. Because when we first joined, I think was it season 3, I think we had a very limited roster, and we were just fighting to actually get a driver lineup every week, and to have all these drivers willing to be able to wanting to race, and all these engineers wanting to engineer for us, it's really, really nice to see in terms of growth perspective. And yeah, just as a team, we've grown. So like when we changed from VL to AZR, I think it's probably the best decision we ever made in terms of progress. And it's honestly, it's from mine and Daniel's perspective, he'll tell you the exact same. It's just really nice to see something that we worked really hard on coming out really good.
And any words, Daniel, on that long thing that I'm going to have to quote in a tweet?
I mean, yeah, to be honest, I really agree with what Ethan said. I think also that we've been taking this event a bit more serious now with the driver lineups. As I think last season mainly we saw this also the 4S there was. We took it more as a like practice event and not like a event we like cared about a lot. But I think this season it changed. It's also now Giannis is driving everything. And I think that's also the reason why last season we were like 0 points or lost every race, and that we are now P2 and almost P1 in the championship. So I think that's also a change that we made since this season. And I think it's working out really good.
I do have one last question, because I don't know, because I'm not going to be interviewing you lovely people for like 4 weeks, thank God. But no, essentially when it comes down to it, do you guys feel like this could be sort of now kind of an easy, I wouldn't exactly say straight line, but would you say it's kind of now a straight line to the championship based off of these 3 last races now?
I'll quickly say something, Daniel. You can go after. I think, in terms of the championship, I think we definitely have we definitely have momentum on our side. I think the results of late have clearly shown it. We've P1 in 3 races in a row. I think that doesn't come from luck. It comes from clear skill from our drivers at the end of the day. And like I said, we have the momentum. There's no reason why we couldn't. I think as of late, if anything, it's our championship to lose. I think compared to the start of the season, we let ourselves down a lot with results. We were just inconsistent. We, like Daniel said, hadn't taken it very seriously. But as we won, I think 3 weeks ago now, our first race, we just, we always thought we had our eye in it. And in terms of the championship, there's no reason why we can't win it now. And honestly, nothing's ever guaranteed straight lined in Formula One. There's always something that can happen. And yeah, honestly, I think in response to your question, I think there is a very good chance that we can put ourselves in a very good position to win it. I don't think it's 100% guaranteed that we're going to win it now, but we're in a very good position, basically.
I mean, yeah, I totally agree. 2 days ago, I told our drivers, Baptiste and Giannis, that P2 will be really achievable as we are only like 10 points behind it. And at the time I said EVR will probably be too far, so we need to focus on getting P2. But yeah, now this race happened and I didn't expect a 0 point score for EVR. So that basically brought us far ahead of LR and all the other teams and really close to EVR. So I'm kind of also surprised by what happened tonight, as I think I didn't expect it, but it's of course for us it's good to see. But I also know that EVR will have good drivers for the remaining races, and I know they can have some good strategies as well. So I think it's going to be a good season with fighting, but let's see what it brings us later.
Ultimately, thank you for joining me in for the interviews. Although, to be honest, I didn't even ask you guys. You guys just joined immediately. You guys wanted the interviews more than I wanted to do them, but so yeah, thank you for joining me. I do hope you guys have a great Christmas and stuff, as I probably won't be interviewing you actually.
You too, mate.
Until when would it be? Actually, no, I might be interviewing you guys
January,
on
no?
Saturday. Maybe.
Oh yeah.
There is a
That's it,
chance. But most likely, no. If we're being honest, most likely, no. So, with that, thank you for joining me in the interviews. And hopefully we'll see you guys get back to winning again in January until the end of the season.
Thanks for hosting, mate. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks.
Hope you have a good Christmas and that.
Okay. Now we're bringing in SET. Hello, Zach. Welcome to the interview box. And I hope you're doing well. And how are you? Are you happy with your team's result today?
Yeah, well, I was pretty happy with the team's result. Of course, Alex did not score a lot of points, but it's still good enough. He's unfortunately dealing with stuff which was not good. But with Voidless P3, I'm really happy. Yeah.
Do you guys feel like there is a chance in the championship now? Because you guys have, I think you guys are still in. I think you guys have dropped down to. I think you guys are still 4th in the championship. Do you guys feel sort of? I think from what I saw, I think you guys got. You guys got, I think, P10 and P3. So you guys did walk away with 17 points. So do you think there's a chance still for sort of the championship? Do you think you could still get to the championship, or do you feel like that's kind of a bit too far away?
We look at it from race to race. We've not had the best starts at the moment, but again, we have six more races to go. Anything can happen. Even last season in NA tournament, we saw ONB come up all of a sudden at the end. So I'm not gonna disregard or say that we're out of the championship fight, but at the moment, we have to be true and say that maybe we're only fighting for P2 or P3 in the championship.
I think we have seen it last sort of 2-3 seasons of teams. It's mostly been in the second half of the season that it gets really interesting. Just anybody starts winning all of a sudden in the second half. With this, there's a Christmas break now, sort of coming in. 4 weeks away for assists, 4 weeks, of course, away for no assists after Saturday. But with assists, so if you've got 4 weeks off, do you feel like this could be a good time to sort of, I guess, chill out a bit, reset for the second half of the season? Because, of course, then it is 6 weeks of 6 straight races. Or do you think that you're going to come out possibly around the same place?
Well, we've got 2 weeks of still driving in other tournaments, but of course, taking the break from FRLT is a good thing. But our drivers will still be practicing for the next 2 weeks for various races, but also practicing for the upcoming race in FRLT, which is still far, but we still need to put in some practice. Regarding for the next 6 races coming, it really depends on the field's pace, because last season the pace was a bit less. This season the pace has increased, so that's why first round we found ourselves at the bottom.
I noticed that a lot. Definitely the sort of overall to still have 7 teams who realistically could win the championship. Anybody could still win the championship mathematically, but from the points haul out of the first 5 races, still 7 teams could all win it into the last 6. It's actually the first time that we've had that not mathematically but chance-wise, that still 7 teams have had a chance of winning it, as opposed to in most seasons we only have 4 teams after the first 5 races who actually get a chance of winning it, so of winning the championship. So it's a rarity this season. One final question. and then I'll let you go and do whatever. Do you feel like you've got some more resources to sort of push into this? What's the sort of plan for the rest of the season?
Yeah. We have to be really focused on our quali pace because a lot of the races, quali does determine a lot of the race. Because when you're starting from way far down, it's really hard to make those places up. And any issue, whether it's like safety car or any incident we're involved in, that takes a toll on us.
I've noticed this season, I was looking at the averages of all the teams. You guys have been qualifying 6 positions lower on average out of the first 4 races of the season compared to last season. So you guys have actually been really far back. But with that, thank you for joining me for some interviews, and have a nice Christmas, as it is, of course, the Christmas break over assists. I might be talking to you again on Saturday. Who knows? Should be a nice break. 4 weeks until the next race in Singapore. Thanks for joining, and see you around.
Thank you. Have a great week and have a great break.
Thanks. So with that is assists over and done for 2025, the final race of assists. Let's just go through. I just want to, before we end off tonight's stream, I don't want to end off it in usual fashion. I want to do something a little bit special and talk about the champions out of 2025 in assists. In Season 3, AMS won the championship quite dominantly. Of course, they were incredibly dominant. They won 5 of the 10 races, so they had an incredibly strong season. Genuinely, absolutely brilliant out there. They were so strong across that season. It was very much undeniable for who was going to win the championship. There were times where it looked a little bit uncertain, especially in the final 5 races. It started to look a little bit more uncertain in the second half of the season, that latter half. They won the championship pretty dominantly, 239 points to 157. So, 82 points they won the championship by. It was a very clear and straight cut championship-wise. They 5 wins across the season, very strong. Only 1 fast lap though across the season. That was always the interesting thing. Only 1 fast lap and 4 poles though. Most poles out of any team. Most wins and most poles and most podiums. So very interesting season that we had in Season 3. Season 4 was also a very interesting season. The team that we just interviewed, both the teams that we just interviewed actually, both came from Season 3 and Season 4. VEL, which was AZR, which was originally called VEL, debuted in Season 3. They had a hat trick of P5 finishes actually in a row. They scored 30 points in just 3 races. It was incredibly strong. In Season 4, of course, we had a couple of other teams come through. VEL struggled, only 33 points across that entire campaign. They really struggled, couldn't get anything together. Equaled with HRT. Of course, we had teams like UFRT debut. EVR finished 3rd in the championship that season, SKG 2nd. So 2 of the top 3 kind of EVR's gone up 2 since then. SKG is down in 7th, so they've gone down 5. Some teams don't even exist anymore, like XR8, the sort of HRT, TTRE, don't even exist. SET though, who we also interviewed, they got a win during that season. They actually did quite well, 2 podiums during that season, 69 points altogether. And then of course we had last season, Season 5, a 3rd season, yes, a 3rd champion. So we had AMS back to back. And then we had Season 5, of course, which was just an absolute crazy season full of a lot of things. Ultimately, SKG won the championship. It was a pretty straightforward championship for them. I mean, you know, you look at it, 5 wins across the season. They won round 2, 4, 5, 8, and 10. So, yeah, they won 5 out of 8 races, so they were incredibly strong. They took 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They took 11 podiums in 13 races, so they were also very strong there. EVR backed up close behind, much closer than in previous seasons, very close behind, 23 points behind to be exact, so they were very close. SET were kind of a bit further away, as they are sort of a bit more like this season, a bit far away. They finished last season only on 168 points. Some teams don't race anymore in assists. VMV, ABE, and PR. 3 teams from last season aren't racing this season, so it was a bit of an odd season. But yeah, with that those are all of our 3 champions: AMS, SKG. So really 2 assist champions. Maybe 2026 will bring us something new. At the moment, it looks like it will be bringing us something very new for this year, of course, as we just have one last look at the standings. They're not updated. They are off of round 4, 86 points. EVR heading towards their first assist championship, but AZR looking to maybe change that and become a very unexpected champion. The calendar, we've gone through China, Austria, Imola, Great Britain, Australia. Now we go away for 4 weeks, and we'll return in the new year in 2026 at Singapore, the hardest track that you can get in FRLT, because we don't allow Monaco. Then we have Monza the week after, followed by Brazil, Netherlands, then Las Vegas, and then Japan to end off the season in round number 11. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Not only the stream, but thank you so much to everybody for watching assists during 2025. We will be back we'll be back in 2026, a new year and a new race in Singapore. I hope everybody has a brilliant week, a brilliant day, also has an absolutely brilliant Christmas. We will be back again on Saturday for No Assists, for the final race of No Assists this year. Of course, it's not a lot of races, only the 18th race of No Assists, but we've had a lot more assists, of course. But with that, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon, and goodbye.
Feel like we're falling away. Maybe I just need to feel nothing to make it easier to turn away and leave. Maybe we're fan and flame, so why do I keep holding out my hand to get burned? I don't wanna clash anymore. I can hear the ghosts in the walls. It's telling me to run away, yeah. I don't wanna crash anymore. I can hear the ghosts in the walls. It's telling me to run away.
Here in Monza, and it is a race opening victory for Eve. I'm still battling with Kuba.
I'll be just behind you. You're not on the list, but I can get you inside. Use your mind, listen to my voices that guide you. You give yourself over, yeah, you don't wanna fight. If you do, I'm gonna bid you a
But he's
hard
gone wide!
night,
Speed,
baby.
he's going
Hang on to your
incredible!
ticket, you're doing alright. And if you don't trust it, hold it up to the light. So quiet, try to hide it. If a new thought formed, we would swallow it down. Empty stares, never question the illusion. If you play alone, they will leave you to drown. Stand up, 'cause we are the